Welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. This week we come to you from Medford, New Jersey. In a moment, we're going to go inside to the Medport Diner and talk to freshman Democratic Congressman Andy Kim, who's coming up on his 100th day in office. Also on today's show, new technology in Paterson, New Jersey in the fight against crime. They have sensors that can tell you when and where a gunshot goes off. And speaking of guns, we'll introduce you to the first woman in the state of New Jersey to run a shooting range. And now, our interview with Congressman Andy Kim from the 3rd Congressional District in New Jersey. I read that you were inspired to run because of health care, and you defeated Tom MacArthur. By the way, congratulations on your victory. And now you're in the middle of this battle over health care. All of a sudden, Donald Trump says it's a priority for the Republican Party, and the Democrats are out running, some talking about Medicare for all, some talking about just trying to hold on to Obamacare. In all this rhetoric, do you see anything happening?
Well, I hope we can see things happening. That's what we owe to the American people. That's what I owe to the people in this district. When I was walking in here, I stopped and spoke with the woman at the cash register, and she was telling me that she works 3 full-time jobs, doesn't have health care right now. These are the types of people that I'm thinking about each and every day, that they're worried about their costs. She was telling me that she had cancer and has pre-existing conditions. These are the types of concerns that I hear on the campaign trail. My father was a polio survivor. I'm a father of 2 baby boys whose health I worry about constantly. So for me, this is very personal. And I'm really not interested in the partisan gamesmanship side of what's happening down in D.C. If the president or Republicans or anybody wants to work on health care in a productive way and wants to make sure we protect people with pre-existing conditions and get more people health care, I'll work with them. If they're going to try to play games and make it harder for people in this country to get health care, I'm going to do everything I can to stop that backsliding.
You'd agree it's politicized on both sides.
Oh, way
though.
too much.
I mean, it seems like there's Democrat on Democrat crime right now on how to fix it.
That's right, because what I say is, what I tell people in this district is that we got to operate where the rubber hits the road. We need to figure out how we can have some tangible benefits to be able to tackle this. No single person has all the solutions on how to fix healthcare in this country. It's 20% of our economy. It's going to be a massive undertaking to figure this out. But that shouldn't stop us or paralyze us from at least trying. That's why, the very first piece of legislation I introduced is called the SAVE Act. It's something I co-authored with a Republican member of Congress, Congressman Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania. We wanted to show right out of the gate that there are bipartisan ways that we can have a conversation about healthcare and try to find some tangible solutions that'll help lower costs.
You mentioned the SAVE Act. Explain what it is.
So the SAVE Act allows different states like New Jersey or Pennsylvania that don't have state health exchanges to be able to get federal funding to set that up. The federal funding or the lack of federal funding has been a big reason why New Jersey hasn't been able to set up a state health exchange. These are proven ways that can lower healthcare costs, be able to pass on those savings to people in this state. So other states had gotten that funding before, but it had expired. So we're trying to bring that back, help places like New Jersey and Pennsylvania set these up, and have a tangible impact on trying to lower costs for Americans here.
President Trump is backing a court case that would get rid of Obamacare. It would leave, I would think, a void because there's nothing to replace it right now. Is that a mistake?
It's a huge mistake for the American people. It's something that would jeopardize the health care of many people, especially those with pre-existing conditions. And it's exactly a reason why I stepped up. Is right now we can't have this backsliding. We're already at a place where millions of Americans don't have health care right now. We should be moving forward, trying to find ways to increase that. But right now, we're under threat where I see this real concern about backsliding and making it harder for people like the employees here in this diner to be able to get the care that they need.
He says he's for it to put pressure on Congress to finally do something about it. Is that a possibility? It seems the more an issue is politicized, the less gets done.
Well, look, we saw over the last 2 years what the president's thinking was on health care, which was, making it harder for millions of Americans to get the care that they need. We just saw in the budget that he released a couple weeks ago billions of dollars in cuts to Medicare. I mean, that's something that people in this community need. My mother just retired last year and she's on Medicare now. She's got multiple different pre-existing conditions. She takes a lot of different prescription drugs every day. She can't afford this. And for him to be putting forward cuts to Medicare, those are the types of actions that he takes that shows me where he wants to take healthcare in this country. And that's not where the people in this district want to see healthcare go.
Are you for Medicare for all?
No, I'm for wanting to have more and more people have health care. I certainly think that people in this country, whether rich or poor, need to have health care. But right now, I'm trying to stop the backsliding, trying to turn the corner with actions like the SAVE Act and other actions to lower prescription drug costs. Meanwhile, we can have that broader conversation of where we can go as a nation on health care and think through that strategically. But when it's 20% of our economy, we need to be very thoughtful about this approach. I'm not someone who likes to shoot from the hip, so we got to be very careful about how we approach this in a way that's going to be able to keep our economy strong while making sure we're also getting everyone to have the health care that they need and deserve.
I know you've answered this a couple of times, and so excuse me for bringing it up again, but I think it's important. When you ran, you didn't seem to be as supportive of Nancy Pelosi as House Speaker, and you voted against her in the caucus, and then you voted for her. Can you explain that vote?
Well, what I wanted and what I told this district is I want to have a new generation of leadership in Washington. I think that's critically important. That was a big reason why I stepped up to be able to do this. And when I was in the caucus vote, I voted against her because I didn't have a clear understanding or timeline of when we were going to have that new leadership. Now, then when that vote then allowed the pressure to be able to build and pushed her to be able to say that she's going to have a definitive timeline, that she's going to term limit herself in terms of her time as Speaker. So I was able to get that clarity that I wanted to be able to deliver on when we're going to have a new generation of leadership in Washington, D.C. So that's when I decided to move ahead and to be able to then push forward and get to the business of the work in Congress. But certainly being sworn in during the middle of the shutdown, it shows you just how corrosive and problematic that dynamic is right now, and we certainly need to be able to move
You'd
past
still like
that.
to see new leadership, though?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Congratulations on getting in the Armed Services Committee, by
Thank
the
you.
way. I know it's especially important to this district because of the Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. How is that doing? It seems like all of the bases in the United States always are on the brink of desperation. Is that era done?
Well, it's critically important that we are taking these steps forward to be able to not make any assumptions about bases. I mean, growing up here in the area, the Philly shipyard and how quickly that closed, Fort Monmouth, people here in New Jersey always remember that. So we always need to be mindful about this, that can't make any assumptions about the strength of the base. Now, McGuire-Dix Lakehurst has a great program, a lot of great missions. It's just bringing on board the KC-46, which is a state-of-the-art refueler tanker airplane. That's going to certainly have a strong anchor for the district and for that base. But I want to make sure that we are continuing to look out for the thousands of jobs that this base creates. It's the second largest employer in the entire state of New Jersey after the government of New Jersey. I mean, it is billions of dollars into our state economy. So very important, not just to this district, but to the entire state.
You see your job on the Armed Services Committee first and foremost just to protect that base?
No, I see my job first and foremost looking out for the people of this district and for the national security side as well as the job side. So, I certainly want to look out for that base. It is a top priority of mine. But my job is also to look out for and build a strong national security apparatus. And I think that McGuire-Dix Lakehurst plays a critically important role in terms of force projection and be able to play that role in our broader national security apparatus.
Well, when we come back, I want to talk a little politics. I also want to get your impression. I know you've been in Washington a long time, but I want to get your impressions of Congress and how they may differ from when you were running for Congress.
Sure.
Thanks. When we continue our conversation with Congressman Andy Kim from the Medport Diner in Medford, New Jersey, when Jersey Matters continues.